today. Also our exit point here in about an hour's time. This is South Jetty Hill off in front of us. Now we'll be making numerous stops through the dunes today. All photo opportunities for you if you brought cameras along. And I'll be explaining a little bit about the dunes over the course of the next hour. At times today, you may be hearing an electric motor run from under the buggy that lowers down a stabilizer bar to help provide a bit smoother ride in some areas. You may hear that cycle off and on several times during the tour today. I'll be deploying that bar as we get here onto the sand so you're familiar with the sound. Stabilizer bar down, it can still be quite bumpy in some areas, especially this first little section, so be sure to hang on here. South Jetty Hill. We'll be coming back in this way at the tail end of the tour. Right now we're going to work our way over here and pick up a trail that'll get us out to our first viewpoint and hopefully photo opportunity. This marine layer rolling in pretty good. It'll come and go throughout the course of the hour. I believe they were forecasting somewhere around 100 degrees in Eugene today. And that can pull this marine layer right onto the beach, keeping things nice and cool here. Now, as we work our way through these forested trails, keep an eye out for some of the wildlife living here, especially black-tailed deer. Now, they have a tendency to make an appearance most any time of any day. See black bear, coyote, cougar, and bobcat to call this home. Bald eagles, osprey, red-tailed hawks flying around, just to name a few. You never know what you might see on any given tour. They're all unique in that respect. Now, a lot of times you'll see wildlife before I do, as I'm concentrating on the trail and traffic, so if you do spot especially a deer, be sure to holler out. Here this afternoon. Now, what we're going to be looking at and traveling through is the northern 1/3 of the Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area. In total, about 30,000 acres of sand that sit between Florence and Coos Bay. Nearly 40 miles in length, averaging just about a mile wide. These are considered to be the largest coastal sand dunes in North America. Now, we're going to work our way down to...
You got squirrel?
Some of the trails we'll be on today can develop some pretty good bumps in them, created by all the vehicles traveling from one riding area to another. They can end up rocking us back and forth pretty quickly, so if you're sitting close to one of these upright bars, make sure you don't get your head on those.
See that third vehicle, that was the club.
Okay.
This area adopted the name of Goose Pasture many years ago. Camping on the sand.
How much does it cost to camp there? $15 a day.
In the forest, that trail only opened from one end to the other during the summer months. During that time. Should we need assistance or come across somebody that does, that's where things can change very quickly with the prevailing winds. Southwesterly in the wintertime, northwesterly during the summer, completely changing this landscape from season to season. Suddenly, so I'll just throw out a blanket coverage. Be sure to protect your eyes at all times during the ride today from gusting sand and winds. Also protect your hats. Now these winds that I mentioned, southwesterly in the winter, northwesterly in the summer, do change this landscape quite dramatically from season to season. The northwest winds, like we feel today, will create blows where we can see a dark ribbon of sand out in front of us, created by the northwest winds. During the winter time, the southwesterly winds push that sand back over on the north side of these faces, kind of like this little hill right here. So these dunes are constantly moving and changing with the winds and from season to season. And rarely, if ever, the same twice. Now, by the time summer is over with, there will be hundreds of blows out through these dunes, anywhere from a foot tall to over 40 feet tall, the further east you go, and everything in between. This is about a 4-footer here off to the right. You want to be very careful about what kind of ATV you put in the bottom of one of those. You could be there for a while getting it unstuck. Witches' eyes can form anywhere in through the dunes, summer or winter. So another good reason to always go slow and explore before you go fast, so that you don't drive off into one of those. Summer months. They are fresh water. The animals use these to drink out of while they travel through the dunes, but because they disappear, there's no fish in them. So this one is probably going, and here on the Oregon Dunes, there's a couple of ways we can do that. I'm going to have you hang on to your hats, though, because this is my favorite way. Imaginary fence line between us and you're telling us. Now from atop this next dune, we can see a lot of the blows that are being formed here in this valley. Some of these are side of the year, revealing more and more of that forest that stood here long ago. It is a sign that these dunes are progressively getting smaller every year. Looks a little bit different in this direction, doesn't it? That was a lot of fun. You guys did awesome with that. Okay.
That's why my red around. The traveling in the opposite direction at a high rate of speed is a recipe for disease drop-offs until you're right on the edge. About 3 or 4 minutes into the headwind here, be sure to hang on to your head.